Alright, section 3.1, this is the numeration system, kind of like the history of where the numbers come from and what part of the world they come from. I do recommend that you spend some time going through the textbook. You can get there from within the assignment just by going to question help and textbook. I'm going to open it up and just show you a few things. So let me go back to the beginning. Okay, so it starts out showing you the area where the numbers come from and the symbols they use. As you go through and read some of the sections, they give you a little bit more information and more symbols. Some of them even talk about multiplication and the additive property and how they count in different bases. For example, this in the Babylonian system, this represents 10, 10, and 3, so you get 23. However, when they put a space by it, kind of like we put a comma in our number system base 10, that's indicating a different place value. So they went up to 60. So this space says this is a group of 60, and these two ones indicate there's two groups of 60. So that's why they multiply, and this is 120. And then this space over here gives us two tens. So 120 plus two tens, which they're showing you, which is another 20, gives you 140. So you don't see that looking at the table. You actually have to kind of read through. You also see a little bit more of that in the Roman numerals. Let me get there. They also talk about multiplication. This Mayan, which is a base 20. They show you a symbol for 20. I think it's on the previous page. And you don't see that unless you go through the reading. It's talked about here. 19 represents 3 5s and 4 1s, but then they represent 20 with a dot above the symbol they use for 0. Okay, so you don't get that from the table, but you got to go through the reading. So you do want to read through so you can get a better understanding. And I also want to show you the Roman numerals. So they have different letters. They only use 3 of any symbol, and then after that they use subtraction. So you'll get that through the reading. And then it tells you about this bar. So when you see a bar above a number, that means you're multiplying that number by 1,000. So just want to kind of point some of that out. You won't get it just by looking through the tables and things. You have to actually go through the reading. So make sure you spend a little bit of time there. And I'm going to focus on just explaining how to apply it to the problem. So in number 1, we have 5 parts. And we just want to tell which number is bigger. Okay, so for the most part, they look about the same. However, I'm just looking at the biggest term. The M represents 1,000. But we're multiplying that by 1,000. So this is 1,000,000 plus whatever else we have here. This one represents 1,000,000 times another 1,000, which is going to give us 1,000,000,000, 9 zeros. So this number is going to be bigger, okay, because of the multiplying by 1,000 twice versus 1,000 once over here. Okay, so the next number B is in our regular base counting 10 system, so we can see which one is bigger. Okay, so this one 3, I believe this is the Mayan system, and these numbers out front represent 10. So we just kind of match them up: 10, 20, 30, 40. This one has one more 10 than this one does, so this one is going to be bigger. Even though they have more ones, the 10s are bigger. Then the Hindu Arabic, I believe this symbol represents 1,000. I don't recall. Let me go back and look what those other symbols mean. There's so many different symbols that you get introduced to. Really easy to lose track. So let me me go back a couple pages. I think it's before the Roman numerals, just so we can all see on the same page. One more. Okay, yes, here we go. So these little upside down U, they call it heel bone, those represent 10. And yeah, this lotus flower represents 1,000. So those are much bigger than the 10s, and then those are 100, the scrolls. Okay, so this 1,000 is going to be bigger than those 10s. However, there is a space, so there's got to be careful here. There's a space. Let me go back and look one more time. You don't want to jump to conclusions. So the spacing, I think that makes a difference. I want to say that represents 3 of the hundreds, but I'm not seeing that here. So let me just go back with my first thought. This is 1,000, and then we have 300, which is bigger than the 10. So I'm gonna go with this one being bigger. And then this one represents 2 groups of 20 with those dots above the 0. So this is like 40, and this is just a line, which is 5 plus 1, 2, 3 is 8. So this one up here is going to be bigger.